Hello, all my DIYers. Welcome. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to can. We're going to go through the whole process, and by the end you should feel pretty confident that you can almost anything. So let's talk about that. You can can meat, fruits, vegetables, flour, water. Today we're going to can dairy. I would not can yogurt. You can dehydrate yogurt, but I wouldn't can yogurt. But today we're going to be doing butter and cheese. First, you want to boil the jars and lids for 10 minutes. If you have brand new jars and lids, you can skip this step. But if you're reusing them, you want to boil the jars and the lids and the caps for 10 minutes. The jars are boiled, and I have read different ways of preparing the butter. Some people boil it so that it gets that last little bit of water off. I don't really find that super necessary, and 2 sticks of butter fit in each one of these regardless. It kind of turns out a little bit like ghee, if you've ever had ghee. I like it. First of all, butter is getting very expensive, and when you find it on sale, then you can just buy a bunch and can it for later. Another nice thing is if you're chugging along and cooking or whatever, and you realize you forgot to buy butter, you have some on hand. So I'm going to load up all these jars and we'll come back. Okay, so I just fit the butter in however it could, sliced it up and stuck it in there. Now for the cheese, I'm going to use this little funnel and just pour it in. Cheese and butter are great to do together because they have to be canned for the same amount of time. So that's perfect. So these 2, I did not touch the rim, so I don't have to do that with these 2. So for the others, I'm going to take this clean rag and some of this distilled vinegar, and I'm just going to gently wipe around the inside just to make sure that there aren't any contaminants. We want this to be absolutely as sanitary as possible. This can last for a year or 2. I've heard of people opening their cans after 10 years if it's in a cool, dry place and it's still perfectly good. So you really want to take proper precautions, and then it's going to last a very long time. And you're going to get very good at canning the more you do it. It's a super wonderful skill to have, especially in any sort of off-grid situation. My husband and I are off-grid, so I can a lot, which is really wonderful because I have lots of stuff on hand all the time, and I've gotten very, very good at canning. So, just another skill to have on the homestead. A couple pieces of equipment that are nice to have. This is super nice to have when you're going to pull your jars in and out without having to touch them because they're going to be very hot. This is a little magnet. This is a super nice thing to have so that you don't have to touch the lids now that they are sanitary. I can sort of touch them on the outside here, but I certainly don't want to touch any part of this because these are all super sanitary now. So I don't want to get them contaminated at all. And if I'm reusing these, which is fine to do, I just want to make sure that there aren't any indentations or disruptions in the rubber or anything like that. I want everything to be nice and secure so that we get a really good seal. Okay, now I'm going to put all of these lids on. These lids are not going to be necessary once they are canned, then you can take those off, but before they're canned, you really need to have them on. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. As the water heats up, it expands and forces the air out of the top. This little pop top is going to come up right here, boop, and it's going to let the air off until it builds up pressure. Once pressure is built, then this little weight is going to start tinkling. That's when we're going to start the timer. Don't worry, I'm going to take you through each step. I'm just explaining what's going to happen. So that's what's happening to the pressure canner itself. Now to these cans, the same thing is happening. You're building up heat, so the air is going to escape, And then once all of the air is out, when we take it out, it's gonna, the vacuum inside, there's a lack of air inside, is gonna suck this lid on, and it's gonna trap all of the air out. So let's get all of our tops on. Okay, so I'm gonna put, these can all just be hand tightened. And then I'm gonna put them into the water, nice and slowly because the water is a little bit warm. And we don't want them to crack. Okay, so as the air escapes, there's going to be water over them. It's okay that it's not right now, but you do want to make sure that once they're where they're supposed to be, the water's just covering them and that they are upright. If you don't have enough to fill up your pressure cooker, you can use a towel to take up that space so that they stay upright.
So there's a little arrow on the bottom right-hand corner. This is the arrow on the bottom that needs to line up with the arrow here shown on the top. Those you align and then you slide it shut, slide it to the left and it will shut. This is very important so you can achieve an airtight lock so that pressure can properly build. This is a 15-pound weight. That is important to use if you're above 1,000 feet. If you're below 1,000 feet, you're going to want to use a 10-pound weight by just taking one of the weights off, like shown. So for over 1,000 feet, you use 15 pounds.
So this is the sound we are looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and start the timer for 60 minutes. So I'll see you again in 60 minutes. So at this stage, it's really, really important to let this come off. You never want to inhibit this from being able to let off steam because you will make a bomb. So air is coming out of here. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. So you just don't want to inhibit that from happening. Now, the timer just went off. So we are going to pick this up and let the steam come out. And as soon as that's done steaming, I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, it stopped steaming, so this is the perfect time to take the lid off. Be careful when you do that. It's going to be very hot. And then we're just going to take them out one at a time and let them cool here for 24 hours. So be careful while you do this. Okay, we are finished canning our butter and everything turned out perfect. I had 100% success. Woohoo! So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to check each one, and you can actually see that it canned by the little dip in the can. And then we are going to wash with soap and water the outside. It always gets a little of whatever was in there on the outside, a little film. So you want to wash it. And then another super important step, we are going to label each one. I do the month and the day and what it is, just so there's no guesswork on the other end. Now, full disclosure, my cheese did not work out. The package said that it was skim milk, so it did not have enough oil to lubricate, so it burned in there. No big deal. I only did 2 of them. Not a huge deal. If I were to do it again, I would either put oil or butter around the outside, or maybe not canned the skim milk cheese. But that's what I love about this process, is you're always learning new things, and even though I've been canning for years, I'd never tried to can skim milk cheese before, so now I know, and now you do too. So I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Mwah!